You were told a beautiful lie: study hard, be polite, follow the rules, wait your turn, respect authority, trust the system, keep your head down, do the right thing, and one day the world will do right by you. That was the promise. So you became the good citizen, the safe employee, the agreeable friend. You smiled when tired, obeyed when you disagreed, silenced your instincts and called it maturity. And what did that loyalty buy you? Exhaustion, resentment, bills, a soul that feels leased out. You did everything they asked, yet still ended up overworked, underpaid, replaceable, and easy to control. That is when the first crack appears. You realize society never trained you to become powerful. It trained you to become useful, harmless, compliant, predictable, easy to manage with crumbs and fear. You were not educated for freedom. You were conditioned for obedience. And the moment you see that, something inside you begins to wake up. Not your anger, not your bitterness, something colder, clearer, more dangerous: awareness. Because the world does not run on bedtime stories. It runs on leverage, incentives, fear, perception, discipline, silence, timing. And the people who rise understand the game beneath the game. Tonight you are not here for comfort. You are here for truth. 7 dark life lessons, 7 forbidden rules, 7 truths society would rather keep hidden from you, because the moment you learn them, you stop being easy to control. And once you stop being easy to control, you become dangerous in the most elegant way. Fairness is one of the most expensive illusions you will ever believe. You were taught that if you are honest, others will be honest. If you are loyal, others will be loyal. If you work hard, you will be rewarded. If you are right, justice will eventually find you. But reality is not a courtroom. Reality is a battlefield wearing a suit. Fairness exists only when power stands behind it. Without consequences, morality becomes decoration, a slogan, a handbook quote, a story adults repeat to make chaos easier to swallow. Manipulators learn this early. They do not ask, what is right? They ask, what can I get away with? They measure your boundaries. They test your hesitation. They smell your fear of conflict. And when they see you waiting for fairness to save you, they know you are prey. This is why so many decent people keep losing. Not because they are weak in character, because they are naive about enforcement. You can be truthful and still be crushed by a liar, talented and still buried by politics, innocent and still blamed by someone more strategic. Truth without force is ignored. Goodness without boundaries is consumed. Look at the workplace. You stay late. You clean up other people's mistakes. You assume your effort speaks for itself. Then promotion season comes. The louder, more political person gets the title. The one who marketed small wins as miracles now manages the room. And you stand there shocked, whispering, but that's not fair. Exactly. It was never designed to be. The lesson is not to become cruel. The lesson is to stop being defenseless. If you want fairness, build consequences. Document everything. Learn negotiate. A salary is often just the minimum price paid to keep your ambition contained inside somebody else's system. That sentence hurts because a part of you already knows it is true. You wake up to an alarm you did not choose. You enter a system built by someone else. You trade your energy, attention, health and time for numbers on a direct deposit. Then you call it stability because the alternative scares you. But look closer. You are not only being paid with money, you are being trained into dependency. The salary feels safe because it arrives predictably, but the price is hidden. Your creativity gets rented. Your schedule gets owned. Your risk tolerance weakens. Your dreams get postponed until they sound childish. And the cruelest part is this: the system does not need to make you rich. It only needs to make you comfortable enough to stay. That is why so many people live in a polished cage. New phone, weekend drinks, a car payment, a subscription life, enough pleasure to numb rebellion, enough pressure to prevent escape. Then years pass, and one day you realize you spent your most energetic decade making another person's asset stronger while calling it a career. This does not mean earning a salary is shameful. It means worshipping it is dangerous. Employment can fund your freedom if you use it as a bridge, not a destination. The wealthy think in assets, equity, ownership, and skills that scale while they sleep. One person works 10 hours and gets paid once. Another builds a business, product, investment, brand, or piece of intellectual property. One survives on motion. The other builds momentum. Two friends both make decent money. One upgrades every year to prove progress. The other studies money like warfare, buys income-producing assets, builds a side structure, and protects cash flow. 5 years later, the first still needs permission to breathe. The second has options. And power begins where dependency ends. So keep your job if you must, but never let your paycheck become your identity. Use the structure, learn from it, extract from it. Then build something that does not require your constant presence to survive. Because if all your money stops when you stop, you do not own your life. You are only renting it. Unconditional goodness sounds noble, until you realize the world often rewards it with entitlement. You were praised for being nice, for understanding, for forgiving, for always being there, for giving endless chances, for shrinking your needs so others could stay comfortable. And at first it makes you feel virtuous, needed, important. But then a darker truth emerges. The more you give without standards, the more people stop seeing it as generosity and start seeing it as access, not a gift, a resource, something permanently available, something they deserve. This is why chronic people pleasers are rarely respected. They are consumed. Their kindness is mistaken for low self-worth. Their patience is read as weakness. Their open hand invites manipulative people to keep taking. Loyalty cannot grow where access is cheap. Human nature values what has weight, what can be lost, what must be earned. If you make your attention, your time, your forgiveness, and your effort endlessly available, you teach people that your boundaries are fiction. That does not make you a saint. It makes you easy. The lesson is not to become cold for sport. It is to weaponize your virtues. Make your kindness selective. Make your support intentional. Make your generosity strategic. Give where there is character. Withhold where there is greed. Reward reciprocity. Starve exploitation. A strong person is not someone who gives everything. A strong person is someone who knows exactly when not to. Think about the friend who only calls when they need something. You answer every time. You help. You listen. You rescue. But when your world is collapsing, they vanish. You still defend them because you are attached to being the loyal one. But loyalty without discernment is self-betrayal. Or think about the relationship where you keep over-explaining and over-giving. You support them, excuse them, forgive them, and absorb disrespect in the name of love. Yet the more you pour in, the less they value you. Why? Because you removed all friction. And friction is what reveals character. When you start saying no, truth arrives quickly. Some people will call you selfish, different, changed, hard to read. What they really mean is simple. You are no longer convenient. Good. That is the beginning of dignity. Your kindness should be a privilege, not a public utility. Your heart should not be a shelter for undisciplined people. And the moment you stop proving that you are good, you finally create space to become formidable. The need to be liked is one of the softest prisons ever built. It does not have bars. It has approval, a smile from the room, a reassuring text, a compliment, inclusion, validation, tiny emotional sugar hits that make you feel safe for a moment and disposable the next. When you need to be liked, you hand people the remote control to your nervous system. Their praise lifts you, their silence weakens you, their criticism disturbs your sleep, their rejection makes you rewrite yourself like a product chasing better reviews. That is not confidence, that is emotional servitude, and the world can sense it. People may enjoy a pleaser, but they rarely trust one with power. The person addicted to approval cannot hold a hard line. They soften truths, they avoid conflict, they betray conviction to preserve applause. They become socially acceptable and spiritually fragile. Respect is built differently. Respect comes from consistency, standards, competence, boundaries, emotional control, the willingness to disappoint others without collapsing internally. A respected person may not be universally loved, but their center cannot be bought with compliments or threatened with exclusion. That is power. In a meeting, one person speaks carefully, trying not to offend anyone. They dilute every opinion with apologies and seek agreement before finishing a sentence. Another person speaks less, but every word lands, calm, clear, unrushed. They present conviction and let the room adjust. Which one feels powerful? Exactly. Being liked is unstable because it depends on mood. Respect is stronger because it depends on structure. People may smile at the weak and still ignore them. They may disagree with the disciplined and still move carefully around them. The person who always says yes gets invited everywhere but consulted nowhere. The person with standards may trigger discomfort, but when chaos hits, that is the one people call. So stop asking, how do I make them like me? Ask, what must I become so that my presence carries weight? You do not need everyone's approval. You need self-command, because once you stop performing for acceptance, something rare happens. Your posture changes, your voice slows down, your decisions sharpen, and the room, almost against its will, begins to feel it. The modern world trains you to overshare because exposed people are easier to predict. Post your thoughts, broadcast your pain, reveal your plans, explain your moves. Tell everyone what you are building, fearing, desiring, and thinking about. Why? Because every confession becomes data. Every emotional leak becomes a map. Powerful people understand scarcity, not because silence is mysterious, but because what is rare gains gravity. When you speak less, people lean in. When you explain less, people reveal more. When you do not rush to fill silence, others fill it with their insecurities and motives. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is pressure. Most people cannot tolerate it. They rush to justify, impress, confess, and prove. They tell you who they are because your restraint makes them uncomfortable. That is why composed silence can dominate a room more than loud charisma. Think about negotiation. The insecure person keeps talking. They reveal limits and defend themselves before being attacked. The disciplined person states less and watches more. They let pauses stretch. They allow the other side to expose urgency, and in that quiet, leverage appears. Or consider social life. The person who posts every move, feeling, a new idea often feels visible, but not powerful. They become familiar. Familiarity breeds casualness. Casualness kills mystique. The person who moves in silence creates presence without performance. Results appear before explanations do. That kind of silence unsettles people because it suggests control, and control is intimidating. This does not mean paranoia. It means deliberation. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world or your blueprint. Not every emotion should be displayed in public while it is still shaping you. Protect your process. Protect your plans. Protect your depth. You do not need to narrate your becoming while it is happening. Sometimes the strongest move is to say less, reveal less, promise less, and let your actions arrive like a verdict. Here is one of the hardest truths to accept. The world often rewards perceived value before it rewards actual value. You can hate that. You can call it shallow. You can call it unfair, and you would be right, but it will still be true. People do not experience you directly at first. They experience your frame, your posture, your reputation, your tone, your appearance, your symbols, your certainty, the narrative that surrounds your name before your substance has a chance to speak. This is why mediocre people with strong positioning often outrun talented people with poor self-presentation. One understands the market of perception. The other worships the fantasy that pure merit will eventually rescue them. It will not. If you do not shape the story around your value, someone else will, and they will shape it according to their interests, not yours. That is why image is not vanity, it is strategy. The way you dress, speak, write, show up, set prices, carry yourself, and control your online footprint all send signals before your actual work is evaluated. These signals may not define your essence, but they absolutely influence opportunity. Doors open for what people believe you are capable of before they verify it in detail. Look at real life. Two people have equal skill. One communicates with hesitation, apologizes for their price, has chaotic branding, sloppy presence, and no clear narrative. The other presents with clarity, evidence, confidence, and coherence. Same talent, different perception, different outcome. One gets doubted, the other gets chosen. This is not about becoming fake. It is about becoming legible, making your value visible, packaging truth so the world can actually recognize it. A diamond buried in mud is still a diamond, but it will not be treated like one until it is cleaned, cut, and displayed. Ask yourself a brutal question. Does your current image communicate the level of discipline, intelligence, and standards you claim to have? If not, then your silence is helping your competition. Manage your narrative. Speak with intention. Let your environment reflect self-respect. Build evidence. Curate what people see first. Make your competence easy to detect and hard to dismiss. Because in a world driven by impressions, refusing to shape perception is not humility. It is surrender. Emotional detachment is not the absence of feeling. It is the refusal to let your feelings become public instructions for your enemies. Most people lose power the moment they are triggered. Anger rises, pride flares, the face tightens, the voice changes, the paragraphs begin. Suddenly, every wound becomes visible, every insecurity is mapped, every button comes with a label, and manipulative people take notes. They learn exactly what to say next time. They learn where your ego lives. They learn which accusation makes you defensive, which insult makes you reckless, which silence makes you panic, which rejection makes you chase. The moment they can control your emotional temperature, they can control your behavior. That is why composure is armor, not fake numbness. Armor. You feel everything internally. You register disrespect. You notice betrayal. You understand tension. But externally you remain measured, cold when necessary, clear when necessary, unreadable when it matters. Not because you are lifeless, but because you refuse to hand over the keys to your inner world. Think of the person who gets criticized publicly. One reacts instantly. They argue, over-explain, try to restore their image in real time. Everyone in the room now sees their desperation. Another person listens, says little, and responds only after emotion has cooled into strategy. Same attack, different outcome. One became entertainment, the other became difficult to penetrate. Stoic composure terrifies chaotic people because it removes the reward they seek. No outburst, no spectacle, no emotional spill they can feed on. Just stillness, just calculation, just the quiet message that your center is not available for public manipulation. This is the final lesson because it protects all the others. Without emotional discipline, fairness will bait you, salary will trap you, goodness will drain you, approval will own you, silence will fail you, and perception will crumble under pressure. But when you master your reactions, something profound happens. Your enemies get less information. Your mind gets more range. Your decisions stop being impulsive and start becoming surgical. You no longer react to provoke relief. You respond to produce results. That is when you become mentally untouchable, not because life stops hitting you, but because fewer people can read the damage in real time. So here is the truth most people spend half a lifetime avoiding. The world does not automatically reward goodness, effort, honesty, openness, or emotional sincerity. It rewards strength with structure, value with visibility, discipline with patience, boundaries with consequences, composure with leverage. You do not need to become evil. You need to become aware that fairness without power is fantasy, a salary without ownership is dependency, goodness without standards is self-erasure, being liked without self-respect is bondage, talking too much is a leak, ignoring perception is surrender. Emotional reactivity is a confession. These are not comfortable lessons. They are liberating ones. Because the day you see the machinery clearly is the day shame leaves your body. You stop wondering why kindness alone was never enough. You stop negotiating with illusions. You stop begging for crumbs from systems built to keep you tame forever. Because once the illusion dies, you finally stop asking the world for permission to become dangerous in the right way, calm, disciplined, strategic, self-governed. So if you are done being predictable, done being easy to use, done mistaking obedience for virtue, then step fully into reality. Build your mind, sharpen your presence, protect your energy, and if you are ready to become mentally untouchable, subscribe now and keep walking into the truths that weaker minds are too afraid to face. The moment you stop needing the world to be fair, to approve of you, or to understand you, is the moment you become impossible to control.